So today marks halfway through my pregnancy. I am 20 weeks today. Just thought I'd update you on that in case you care about how my pregnancy is going or anything like that. I still really need to make more content over on my other channel, my lifestyle channel. But yeah, we're halfway done. It's going way too fast. It needs to kind of slow down now because I'm not ready. I'm not mentally ready. Anyway, today we are going to be talking about the new A24 movie, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. This is probably going to be a very quick review. I don't have too many things to say about it, and it will also be spoiler-free in this video, like completely spoiler-free. Again, because I don't have too many things to really say about it. I don't think I really need to go into detail in the end or anything like that. It's a pretty straightforward movie, and my thoughts are also pretty straightforward. So when a group of 20-somethings gets stuck at a remote mansion during a hurricane, a party game gone very, very wrong ends with the dead body on the ground and fake friends at every turn as they try to find the killer among them. So this is directed by Helena Regine. I hope that's how you pronounce her name. She's only ever directed one other Dutch movie called Instinct, so I haven't really heard of or seen her other works or anything like that. This is the only one that I've seen, and I think that is the only two movies that she has directed thus far. So I actually went in with very low expectations to Bodies, 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 and I think I'm just gonna reference it as Bodies from now on because the title is so annoying to say. I'll say that. I just don't want to keep saying Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. That's why. So Bodies, yeah, I went in with a low expectation because it is not my kind of movie. If you've been around on the channel for a long time, you know that dark comedies typically aren't my favorite thing, and this, of course, is like Gen Z satire, so I didn't even know if the comedy would really be that entertaining to me. I just wasn't sure, and also it's A24, and as we know, those are very hit or miss for me. If you're curious on my thoughts on all of the A24 horror movies, I just did a ranking video, actually, a tier list. You can go watch that. But yeah, we know A24 is hit or miss for me. So this one I really thought was going to be a miss because I just didn't have high hopes for it. I don't know. It just didn't look like my kind of movie. Like I said, it definitely is a satire on Gen Z culture. A lot of the language used in it, of course, we see in the trailer. It's very Gen Z language. I also really liked the inclusion of like TikTok and astrology. I think those were really funny. I genuinely thought the satire of Gen Z was actually really entertaining, and the comedy really worked for me. It also had some commentary on our relationship, or should I say Gen Z's relationship with information and the internet and communication, and how, you know, we get our information from the internet and things like that, which I really liked as well. Also just the relationship with like technology and things, because they are the first generation to really grow up with technology in their entire lives. Like obviously millennials had the internet for a huge part of our life, but I mean, we saw every stage of the internet thus far. However, Gen Z is the one that grew up from like infancy with the internet, and we as millennials didn't have that experience, so they kind of included that kind of commentary on their relationship with technology and the internet. So this is of course a horror movie. It is a dark comedy, but I really thought the horror was genuinely good. Of course, it's not going to be your traditional type horror movie because it is a dark comedy at the end of the day, but it was tense, and I did like the amount of the horror elements that we did get in this movie. It does have its tropes, you know, with the raining a lot during the tense moments, during the climax and everything, being rainy, but it does work itself into the story, of course, because it takes place during a hurricane, so that's the whole reason that they're even there, so we know to expect a storm, so it's not like raining out of nowhere and then all of a sudden it's sunny, like that kind of cliche, because it's for the purpose of the story. Like they're there to celebrate the hurricane, or at least party through the hurricane. But it does actually get super tense. I wasn't ever scared per se, like it's not a scary movie. It's just like a very entertaining, like I was wide-eyed, like intense moments, like just wanting to see what was gonna happen next. Like it was very like surprising and just tense. So overall, I really liked this movie. I actually loved this movie, to be honest, and I really wanted to rush to social media to tell you that I really loved this movie. I think the movie was really surprising, it was exciting, it was fun, it was funny. tense. The characters were really great and thought out and very, very believable. And X had a really similar experience from me because I don't know if you remember, I went into X with also very low expectations for pretty much the same reasons I explained for this movie, except instead of it being a dark comedy, which typically isn't my subgenre, I was worried it was gonna be full of sex, and of course it is full of sex. But I ended up really enjoying X in a very surprising way, and it's a very similar experience I had with Bodies. I was genuinely surprised at times, being like, am I really liking this movie right now? Like, I just went into it not really expecting that. So I was very pleasantly surprised. And I like the fun aspect of this movie. I don't think it's going to work for everyone. I really don't see this movie as being loved by everyone. I don't think the characters are going to work for everyone because they are a little obnoxious, of course. I think, you know, it's intentional. I just like how realistic the characters are because we've all seen these types of people before, or some variation of these types of people, of these kind of cliches of the Gen Z. And so it was really effective for me because their interactions with one another were very believable, and their fakeness, it's kind of like that rich LA culture. And honestly, Rachel Sennett, I think that's how you pronounce her name, I'm not really sure, was a huge standout for me. I thought she was incredible. She was probably the most believable character in this entire movie. Also, Amanda Stenberg was phenomenal, and she's probably one of the prettiest people I have ever seen. But I'd say those two were really big standouts for me. And as far as Pete Davidson goes, I'm not a huge fan of him. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a huge fan of Pete Davidson. But if that's the case for you as well, still watch this movie. I think you'll be happy with, you know, his character portrayal and things like that. I don't know. I thought his addition worked really well in the story. So if you're generally not a fan of him either, just watch it. Trust me. Oh, and I want to say, despite the opening scene of Bodies being, you know, very in your face, there aren't any sex scenes in it, which I actually appreciated. Obviously, you know, I don't love sex scenes in my movies. You know, obviously I'm not super against them. I love X, for instance, but I was expecting something in this, and there wasn't any. So I was really also pleasantly surprised by that. I just thought I'd mention that because some of you are like me who also don't enjoy like sex scenes in movies and things, especially in horror. So I just wanted to let you know that it doesn't have any of that. So the only things that I can really criticize about this movie, I really don't have any critiques. At least not solid like plot points or anything like that. The only things that I can criticize are very nitpicky, and I feel like a lot of people are going to be able to look over them. So sometimes the light would be pointed at their face, like they'd have their phone lit up with the flashlight and they would turn it. Sometimes it would be just the phone screen lighting up their face. The whole movie is pretty much lit with iPhones, with iPhone lighting and their flashlights. So that might bother some people. Sometimes the lighting choice is weird. She's like crawling on the ground and her hand is like pointing the flashlight at her face, so she can't see where she's going. I'm not sure why they chose to do that. And another time that kind of I don't know, it's a little bit nitpicky, is when after they discover the body, there's blood everywhere, like all over them. They are covered head to toe in it. And I understand it's raining, but I'm just not sure how it transfers onto all of their faces. Like if they're just covered in it, and then you go inside and it's all over the walls, and I'm just not sure where all of it came from. Like, why is it everywhere? You know what I mean? I appreciate the inclusion of it because you do get some gore in this movie. It's very minimal though, I will say. So I liked that they included the blood, but I'm just not sure like where it all came from. Like, why are they covered in it? So that's really my only critiques, is like little things like that, that were just not perfect. But like I said, they're pretty nitpicky and definitely things that have nothing to do with the story. So it really doesn't impact my overall enjoyment of the movie by any means. And I really think Bodies is a great movie to watch with people. So if you're gonna have friends over once this comes out on streaming, or you know, you can buy it, I would definitely recommend watching it with a group of people or going to the theater with other people. I feel like you can kind of play your own game of Bodies, Bodies, Bodies bodies by like trying to guess with your friends who you think the killer is. This movie is more of a whodunit type movie instead of like your traditional slasher movie. So it's a little bit more of like a murder mystery, if you will, and like the dynamic between the characters than like a true slasher. So don't expect like a traditional horror or traditional slasher or anything like that. It's a little bit more mysterious, like a murder mystery. But honestly, I think it's a really good combination of like slasher moments with the murder mystery. And I really like that combination. And then especially with the dynamic with the characters and the storyline going on there, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed all of the story. There are so many fake outs in this movie. I thought so many times I knew exactly what was going on. I thought this movie's going to be very predictable as I'm watching it. I thought, you know, who dies, who the killer is. I thought it was all so predictable, and then it completely fakes you out every single time. So you think you know what's going on. You do not. You definitely do not. And so many times I was genuinely surprised. So if a movie can surprise me in that way, it's very, very entertaining. And honestly, this might be in a top spot for dark comedies for me, which is a very short list of ones that I actually enjoy and would recommend, because it's just not my favorite subgenre of horror. But this has definitely worked its way up to a top spot for sure. And definitely one of the most effective dark comedies that I've ever seen. It has a perfect balance of the humor, the commentary, the gore, the slasher, the thriller horror, like just all of it I thought was so fun, like all the way through. I am very curious though, because I have not seen any other feedback from this movie or for this movie. I've never seen another review for this movie. I haven't watched any. I haven't seen feedback from you guys really, just a couple people saying that they liked it. So I don't really know what the overall response is to this movie. I also watched this movie by myself, so I couldn't even bounce ideas or opinions off anyone else. Like I'm just going into this review telling you exactly how I feel, not based on anyone else's thoughts or feedback. So I was just thinking, since this video is kind of short, let's look at the IMDb ratings and see what's going on with this movie, because it is A24. I feel like some people are going to have a certain expectation, and I still think it's not going to work for everyone. I don't think it's a movie that like everyone's going to love and enjoy. So I worry that I am hyping it up so much that people are going to come back and be like, why did you even say that was good? Like, that wasn't good. But let's take a look at IMDb. I have my laptop here. So it currently holds a 6.7 out of 10 rating on IMDb. That's not terrible, I think, for IMDb. I don't really know. It's out of 2.4 thousand ratings as of right now. I would honestly give this movie 4 out of 5. Probably 4.5 out of 5, 4 out of 5. Honestly, it's one of my favorite movies I've watched this year. This and X are two of my favorite horror movies to come out of this year, and Everything Everywhere is my favorite movie I've watched this year. So the fact that those are 3 A24 movies kind of is wild to me, because I always thought I had a certain opinion about A24 as a studio company, but that is changing slowly but surely. Really, really great year for A24, I will say. Also, the Marcel, the Shell with Shoes On, is really, really highly loved. I haven't seen it yet personally, but another A24 that apparently was really good. So, and then we have Pearl, which Pearl actually looks like it'll be my favorite movie of the year. That's my prediction. So I'm going to come back to this prediction and see if I was right. But Pearl is definitely one of my most anticipated this year as well. So let's look at some of the reviews. I'm just really curious on some of the user reviews. I'm not going to look at Rotten Tomatoes. I'm just going to look at IMDb for a little bit. Boring, boring, boring. Another one says, don't care if it's satire, it's annoying. Every character acted without using their brain, and the execution was terrible. The writing is horrible, and there's multiple plot holes. The movie is outright obnoxious, and I'm surprised it was ever on the big screen. Ouch, that one's really 1 out of 10, that one. Okay, awful with no conclusion at the end. I disagree. I think the ending is phenomenal, and very, very surprised. I loved the ending. I thought it was hilarious. So Rotten Tomatoes. Toe is T-O-E. The fact that critics on Rotten Tomatoes gave this obnoxious infantile dookie of a movie a 90% rating tells you all you need to know about the state of affairs of online movie critics. You know, I don't necessarily take critics' word as the word of God by any means. I never look at Rotten Tomatoes ever. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on over there. It has a 90% rating, I guess, on Rotten Tomatoes. I agree with them. So I'm not for like critics necessarily. I agree that some are very harsh and very opinionated and sometimes are just a little bit too serious. But this person is ironic because they're also taking it a little too seriously, in my opinion. Also, I had a video idea. I'm just curious and throwing this out there of looking at my favorite movies, possibly doing it with Ryan and using his favorite horror movies as well, and reading each other reviews on Rotten Tomatoes or IMDB or whatever, and like reacting to negative reviews of our favorite movies. I don't know. I don't know if that would be entertaining or super negative. I don't know. Let me know your feedback. I love when Red Letter Media, Mike and Jay like read reviews, or I guess Mike reads them to Jay and, you know, he kind of reacts when they like a movie. So I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. Exactly what it looks like. Stupid. Predictably dumb and uninspired garbage. Whole cast is annoying. I didn't want to root for anyone to survive, and the slasher vibes the trailer give off are completely absent. Okay, so it seems like, you know, there's some good ones in there. I'm just reading like the negative headlines. There's a lot of 1s and 2s out of 10, but I'm really surprised at the negative reviews. I mean, I know not everyone's going to like it, but I think a lot of people are wrapped up in the fact that the characters are a little bit annoying, but they're intentionally annoying. It's kind of like in Dashcam, not the same, don't want to compare, but in Dashcam, she's intentionally annoying. Different scenario though, but this one is obviously satire of Gen Z, right? It is supposed to be funny. They're supposed to be cringy people. They're supposed to be trust fund, like rich, privileged people. So you do laugh at them and they're meant to be annoying. So if you don't like annoying characters, then this isn't a great movie for you, I would say, because a lot of them are annoying. I disagree that there's no one to root for. I think that there are some characters that you do want to root for, but again, that's just my perspective on that. So sometimes it feels like I'm always on the opposite side of what other like viewers are liking. And I either hate a movie that's really well loved, like The Black Phone and Men. Those are very like controversial opinions of mine, I guess, because everyone commenting on those videos are like, you just like to hate things. You're just hateful. You just like to be hateful on movies that are popular, which is just not true. Like I like a lot. You could look at any of these DVDs and they're mainstream movies, okay? So I like a lot of mainstream things. I'm not sure why people think that I like to be hateful. And then when I love a movie like Bodies, I feel like people are gonna be like, why did you like that? That was horrible. I don't know, I just feel like I'm always on like the other end of the spectrum where everyone else is and I'm like missing something. I don't know. Anyway, that's my thoughts on Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. If you've seen it, please let me know if you thought this movie was fun like I did. I just want to hear your opinions on this. You can feel free to disagree with me as well. Just be respectful, of course, of everyone's opinions. But yeah, highly, highly recommend, especially seeing it in a theater if you can. It is fantastic in my opinion. But yeah, leave a comment down below, leave your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this video and I will talk to you soon. Bye.